quarterback with all, we'll get the first this way.
Back four.
They said he stepped out back here, but he got first. Bootleg, 68 yards. A great play, Charles. Right here, speed and quickness. That's puts the use on him with great speed and quickness. Really didn't have any experience, you know, as a halfback. Here's Charles Thompson. Goodbye, Charles. Pitch against the grain. Speed and quickness. Charles is gone.
Why did you do that?
Charlie jumped inside. He's gone. Charles Thompson. Speed.
What's his 40 speed?
His athletes like him. Once in a play for him, there's a lot of nice things to say about him. Keeping it is Thompson. Goodbye.
We know he's 77 quick right here. He is some kind of fighter. Only played the first half. Like that all Now we only had the ball. Here's Charles. Right here, I had a flashback. Charles is coming right at me. I thought about immediately last year. And Charles is coming at me. Defensively, he's still at it on offense. That's kind of an unlikely end of that play. Somebody's going to be, here's a big play with the option play. Charles outside to the left side.
Thompson in trouble. Escapes one man. Now the 25-30. Look at that speed. The 40. And across midfield. He is brought down at the... Thompson runs. 25-30. First down Oklahoma. And out to the 46-yard line.
One of the more interesting plays of the year. Our center on his way to the linebacker is called for holding. I guess not a bad call, but it's certainly got no drag on the play. You really can't see him hold very much. And call is back one of the longest runs in Oklahoma all football history, I guess.
And Thompson hands it off. No, he faked it. Then he faked everybody. Here's Charles Thompson. Thompson's got room. Thompson. Touchdown.
So the message tonight is really a message that I wanted to say, as you can tell. You know, I dreamed for many years about fulfilling that, what you saw right there. But when you look at life, it's this, it's simple as this. You know, things start with you, but it's not just about you. Things start with you, it's not just about you. And I want to talk about three texts. There's going to be a lot of scripture that I'm going to bring you tonight, but three main texts that I want to set the foundation to what I want to talk about. And the first text is Philippians 1:6. 1:6. And it says, he who begins a good work in you shall see it through to the return of Jesus Christ. So I want all of you guys to think about, as I give you these first three scriptures, he who begins a good work in you shall see it through to the return of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. Now I want you to think about that in essence as we talk about, and you heard Pastor Keith give a scripture, and he talks about Jeremiah 29:11. So when you back up on top of, he who begins a good work in you shall see it through. In Philippians 1:6. And Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the thoughts or plans I have for you. There are plans that are of good and not of evil, that I may bring you to an expected end. So if you think about he who begins a good work in you shall see it through to the end, to the return of Jesus Christ. And for I know, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts and plans I have for you. They are thoughts of good and not of evil, to bring you to an expected end. When I begin to tell you the story of my life, I want to talk about all of that in the compass. And those two verses will be demonstrated throughout my testimony. The last verse I'll lay the foundation on is the one I want you to think about. So I want you to think about this, because I know in life everybody always looks at the now or the past. And Ecclesiastes 7:8 says, the end of something is better than the beginning. It is better to have patience in the spirit than to have pride or arrogance. So, once again, the three scriptures: he who begins a good work in you shall see it through the return of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts I have of you. The thoughts are of good and not of evil, to bring you to an expected end. And then it's better, something is better in the end than it is in the beginning. So now let's talk about the beginning of Charles Thompson, okay? The beginning is, when you look at this and you think about life, we all know here, and we've been taught in this Bible study, that God knew the expected end who we are when we were created. All of us have a godly purpose to be on this earth. So he who begins a good work, you shall see it through to the return of Jesus Christ. So when you think about Charles Thompson, who he was, in a sense of a guy who, at 6 years old, born in Lawton, but I grew up raised in Fort Smith, Arkansas. We moved at an early age to Lawton, Oklahoma. And I can tell you that in my time in Fort Smith, Arkansas, most of my childhood was spent around my own relatives. We lived in the projects, and it was somewhat segregated. I never interacted with white people in Fort Smith, Arkansas. In fact, when I saw a white person, and we were trained in Arkansas, when I ran across a white person, and without any words speak with each other, it was like, what y'all want to do? This is how we were. I can bring all my cousins living in Fort Smith, Arkansas. That's the mentality. We never walked outside the project by ourselves. Our parents always taught us to go in packs. So when I walked to the candy store or to the boys club, I had to walk with 3 or 4 other cousins or we didn't go. I got called the nigger word, I don't know how many times when I grew up in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So the foundation set for me in the beginning was one that I was like, had this mindset of hatred, of separation. And it's funny how we always think of ourselves as an environment. We think of ourselves as individuals, but what we don't understand is we all become a product of the environment we live in. It's a subconscious thing. We can't control it. That's why I always predicate now in my talks when I talk to people, be leery of those who you hang around. Whether you know directly or indirectly, they will affect who you may become. It's just natural. So when I moved at an early age to Lawton, Oklahoma, I'm going to tell you, it was a culture shock for me. Because I just told you about the mentality I had growing up in the projects. We were ready to fight, and I'm talking about fight. It wasn't no talking. It was fight. And I had many of them. You're right. I had... yeah. Just turn the last 2 up. Yeah, they'll come back. Last 2. You'll be all right. Broke the projects. Not that one. He ain't gonna stop nothing we got going anyway. He never can't stop anything. So when I tell you about so when I moved to Lawton, Oklahoma, I moved into a neighborhood that was black and white.
Can you see him?
Neighbors. I used to walk outside and look at them like, as they was probably looking at me the same way. I remember when we moved down the street, our first house we moved into was on 23rd, and we moved down the street from Sweet Elementary School. And this is how dumb I was. I was all into just being a tyrant. Because I was kind of angry that we moved to Oklahoma, to be honest with you, because I enjoyed my time around my family and my cousins. I mean, it was like we had my cousin's Keith, my cousin Chris, we were like three in a pod. I mean, we went around Progress and we did everything. And I was, of the group, I was the younger and I was the weaker of the three. So I really never looked at myself like I was anything special. Because they both were better basketball players than me, better football players. I was the slowest one in the pack. You know what I'm saying? When we used to have to box, and when we were younger, our older uncle used to put us in a circle and make us box. Now, we weren't fortunate to have 2 sets of boxing gloves. We only had 1 set. So they would put the left hand on one kid and the right hand on another kid and say, get at it. Put one hand behind the back and go. I always end up with the left hand, which is why I ended up developing how to use my left hand. I could jab good with my left hand because I was a younger one, my other cousins always got the first pick. So I was taught to be a tyrant, to go against the grain. And so when I first moved to Lawton, Oklahoma, 5 houses down was a kid named Bob Miracle. And I'm going to tell you this true story. My mom sitting there, she'll tell you. I first moved to Lawton. I was there in a week. And the first thing I know is somebody's knocking on my mom's door because I done went down the street and stole this kid's bicycle. I didn't steal it. I kicked him off of it and said, give it to me. That's just how our mentality was. We just was attacked. I mean, that's what brought me that way. So that's how it was. And so it's funny how years went on, and I developed this sense. And what I learned in Lawton was one thing, that it wasn't like Fort Smith. Now I begin to understand that I could run faster than most kids, score more touchdowns, steal more base on the baseball field, score more points on the basketball court. And I began to develop this foolish mindset that because of that ability, that rules didn't apply to me. It was like the light shined on me and said, oh, you're a good athlete. You can get away with things that most people can't. And I'm talking about, I learned this at the age of 6 or 7 years old because I learned that I was better than most kids. You know, when I grew up in Arkansas, you learn how to walk. We walked everywhere. We didn't ride, we walked. We had to walk. And so when we walked around, you learn how to survive. We spent most of our time outside. If I was in the house, I thought it was punishment. I ain't got no video games. I ain't got nothing. We was outside either playing marbles or different things. We didn't stay inside. So everything that we did was about being physically the best. Demonstrate that on a daily basis. I woke up thinking that who am I have to race or fight today? That was my mentality that I brought to Lawton, Oklahoma. And when I began to get involved in sports, I began to channel it in a different direction. You know, I began to understand that you can excel in life. And I had this dream at 6 or 7 years old, and I'm telling you guys this because it's real. I remember the first time I turned on a black and white fuzzy TV and I saw Steve Davis, the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, dive over the top and score a touchdown, and they had said that Oklahoma had won the national championship that year. It was probably 1973. 5 or 6 years old, I remember it. And from that moment forward, I fell in love with the University of Oklahoma. I can tell you every quarterback that played before my time. I can tell you Thomas Locke, Dean Blevins, Kelly Phelps, J.C. Watts, Danny Bradley, and on and on and on, all the way up through me. That was my dream. I used to, after Saturday football games watching the University of Oklahoma, I used to take a white t-shirt, and all the kids in our neighborhood, I had friends named Steve Wolf, who was still one of my lifelong friends, and a friend named Gary Frizzell. You didn't see me without Gary. I'm just telling you, if I was right there, I was here, he was right there. And we used to all gather up after every afternoon watching the OU football game, and this is a true story. I used to take a white t-shirt, take a white marker. My mom used to get on me like this. Take a black marker and write the number 6 on my t-shirt and go out, because we had outside, and every group we would gather, and we'd go out across the street to St. Barbara's Church, and we would play football. And we would try to demonstrate what we just saw that the Oklahoma Sooners did. Every Saturday I did this. And I'm talking about from all the way up through. I had a dream and a vision to be the quarterback for the University of Oklahoma, to be a player. At that time, I really didn't want to be the quarterback. I wanted to be the running back. Because then running backs were the guy. The Billy Sims, the Tony Dorsetts, the Charles Whites. These guys, the O.J. Simpson, he wasn't just a murderer back then. He was a guy that scored touchdowns. I'm just telling you, he was a bad man. I'll never forget my first pair of spot bills were the Juice. They had orange bottoms. I wore them so much, Tony, it was like your cleats when you came to me. I wore them slick. You thought they was church shoes. I wore them. I wore them to school and everywhere. So my dream was to be the running back. But I had dreamed for playing for the University of Oklahoma from an early age. But, you know, along the way, I also recognized, and I began to be a lot. Because, you know, in life, sometimes we look at things, guys, and we say, the little things ultimately manifest themselves into big things. We don't understand it. Here's what I mean by that. Because now, here I am, this stud athlete, my mom would tell you, my coaches, Little League coaches, used to drive all over to come get me. They wanted me to be the part of their team. Because in the Little League, I was scoring 4 and 5 touchdowns a game like it was nothing. It's a big deal. But the one thing that I tell you, I began to believe the hype and the lie because I was doing that, I thought the rules didn't apply. So the little things turned into big things. I started telling my mom I was going to football practice and I would end up somewhere else. You know how we all do that. We say it's something small, that it ain't no big deal, so we lie to our parents and we tell them something knowing that we're doing something else. And in life, you think that's a little thing. But what I've now learned at the age of 48, that every little thing manifests itself at some point to be great. It's about sowing and reaping. So when I got to junior high, now it's not just about lying to my mom, but it's about, you know, sneaking around smoking cigarettes. I'll never forget, my mother made me smoke a pack of cigarettes one day. Because she called me smoking cigarettes. And she said, "You gonna smoke, you gonna smoke. Get right in here and smoke all of them." Then I never smoked again. I was huffing and puffing and throwing up. She's sitting right here. I used to sit around, she had a bar, and she'll tell you this, and I used to go in there and sneak, act like I was grown, and sneak the clear liquor, because I thought I could replace it with water. So finally one day, I guess I drank too much of one of them, and when she tasted it, it was all water. Now all I heard is her, "Charles Lamont!" I knew I was in trouble. So I was devious. I always wanted to stretch the envelope. But I thought because of who I was as an athlete, that I could get away with it. You know, my brothers, my mama here, they'll always tell you, on my mom's side, we got 5, my mom was a single mom, she raised all 5 of us. My sister's also here on my dad's side, so collectively, I had a total of 8 brothers and 3 sisters. My mom raised 5. My dad, who lived on the other side of town, raised my sister and me. But on my mom's side, they all felt like I was the favorite. And maybe I was, I don't know. You know, maybe I was, I don't know. But I believed I was. You know what I'm saying? Because why? I was the pride of the family, the one out there everybody was always talking about, the one out there getting all the neighborhood, the glory stories about, you know, jumped the fence with one. You see Charles Thompson was being chased by somebody, he jumped the fence in one jump. The kind of story they walk around saying, because I was doing everything. Because I thought I could run fast and score more touchdowns. See, I was believing the high, believing the lie. You know, as I went on through junior high and I got to high school, and I'll never forget Gary Frizzell, who was a good friend of mine. My mom would tell you, we would do everything together. If I wasn't at his house, he was at mine. We were spending the night, when I started dating girls, he wanted to start dating girls. When I started doing this, he wanted to start doing that. I mean, I literally taught him how to do so many wrong things that I'm embarrassed to tell you some of the stuff I taught him how to do. He looked up to me. He wasn't my brother, but he was my brother. I mean, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I would treat him better than my own brother. Because we was just so much alike. He was my, if I was this, he was that. I mean, he was just my right-hand guy. And we grew up together doing a lot of devious things. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. We got to high school, and it got to the point where, you know, I started really, really believing. I started getting my name in the paper. I started realizing that, hey, I might have a bright future at this football thing. I started as a sophomore. Back then, freshmen didn't play in high school, but I started as a sophomore. And I remember getting my first name in the London Constitution, and I thought that was a very big thing. So we went out to celebrate, and of course, Gary was right along with me. And just like some of you knuckleheads, we decided we're going to go get high. And I'll never forget, I decided to take my mom's car. And in my mom's car, unfortunately, she had because I used to wait till she go to sleep, and I would put the car in neutral and push it out the driveway. So I believe like to get all this, do all this stuff, and I'll tell you, I was in there, I pushed the envelope. So we went out, and I'm going to tell you, we went out to get high. We got high. Well, I got caught by a police officer. Now, true story, he didn't arrest me. Why? Because he knew I was Charles Thompson, the guy who was the starting quarterback for Lawton High, running faster than most kids, scoring more touchdowns. Once again, he looked in the other direction. For me, I thought, man, that's great, because I'm, once again, building my stature up thinking that, I'm Mr. Invincible. I'll never forget this, though. He did take, however, there was a gun in the glove box. But he took that. And I'm sitting in my classroom, in the middle of the classroom, and I look out the window, and I see my mom walking, and she got this walk. And teacher said, where you going? I got up and met out, because I was not going to let her come into school, because I know she's going to be cussing up a storm. And I said, I'm going to go outside and take this outside. And I looked back, and the whole classroom was sitting there laughing at me, because she gave it to me. I mean, she gave it to me. And everybody's laughing. I came back in, but it was really one of these situations in life where you started thinking like, wow, I got away with that. When you look at life, and we always think in life, because we're getting away with something, we feel like we're getting over on somebody because it hadn't been brought to light yet. And that was my mentality and mindset as I got all the way through high school. Barry Switzer, now the dream of mine, is at my high school, and he's offered me a scholarship to come play for the #1 team in the nation. And when I accepted the scholarship to go play for the University of Oklahoma, it was a dream come true. I don't even know that I can really describe it in words, to be quite honest with you. The opportunity to fulfill a dream. Because I'm telling you, as serious as I can, from the early age of 6 or 7 years old, it was a dream. In Oklahoma, I don't know about anywhere else, in the 70s and 80s, OU football was it.